Alright everyone, so in the previous video we created a bunch of leaves and our intention is to create a wind effect. And so what's going to happen is when the wind starts, it's going to pick up the leaves and it's going to just kind of blow them in a spiral on the screen. So the real art of this, to make it look good, is to actually pay a little bit of attention to realism. So I want the leaves to all kind of blow at the same time. I don't want them to move as individuals because there's only one gust for all the leaves. And so they should all move in concert. But at the same time, there's a certain amount of randomness in how they move. The heavier leaves aren't lifted as far. The lighter leaves are lifted much further. Some of them spin more than others. And so there's a certain amount of organized chaos. It's organized in the sense that they all move when the wind blows, but they all move in their own particular variation of how you're supposed to move. So there's this kind of chaotic symphony of leaves moving along the ground. So to get that effect, what I need to do is I need to make each of the leaves kind of individual and in kind of a realistic way. And that's what we're going to try and do in this video. So the first thing I want you to do, I want you to keep going back to the start as clone. And let's create a block and we're going to call it setup leaf. And we're going to actually grab some of this stuff over and put it in there and then leave the block marker there. So that won't change anything in the behavior. But this is all to do with how the leaf appears. So now it says set size to pick random 5 to 40%. Well, what I actually want to do is I want more small leaves than big leaves. And that's because I want the little tiny leaves that are almost rotted away to be kind of parts of flying detritus that are just moving through space, while the big leaves occupy the bottom of the screen and they just move a little bit. And right now, there's so many big leaves that they're all getting lost on top of one another. So we're going to kind of play around with that a little bit. Okay, so grab the set size, stick it in there, set sizes, and then put set sizes in its place back in the original code block. So now that changes nothing. It just relocates the sizing over to its own block. But now we're going to play around with it. Actually, let's change the name of this because I want to make this set sizes on weights. Because I'm going to actually make the weight of the object dependent upon its size. Or vice versa. I'll probably do it vice versa. So I'm making a new variable, and this is for this sprite only, so each clone gets its own weight. And I'll call it my weight. And then let's do an if then else. So if, actually first set my weight to random, and then if my weight is less than 10, so 90% of them, then set size to my weight. So for 90% of them, all the ones that have weights 1 to 9, they're going to have sizes equal to that. So they're just going to be quite tiny. And then for the last 10%, the other ones, we're going to reset my weight to a random from 10 to 40. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to set the size to my weight. So if we look at that, there's a lot more variation. There's only a few big leaves, but that's kind of like how I like it. Okay, let's leave it there for now, and I will move on to setting the colors in the next video. Thank you for listening, and if you find this video useful, please hit like and subscribe.